Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. Well, the international break is always a bit of a bore. The only concern you have during international breaks is about injuries, and that's what we hope. And also in an interesting piece of news, City have sent a specific medical personnel, a specific doctor to Norway to be part of the Norway national team just to monitor Erling Haaland. So it seems that the doctor and the Haaland have developed a good connection at City, and City want to absolutely make sure that Haaland is always fit. City want to make sure that Haaland doesn't suffer the injuries that he did last time. So at his time at Dortmund and stuff. So City are keeping a keen eye on him. That is interesting. But the most interesting piece of news is what I have on the screen for you. Uh, Man City star Jack Grealish asks agent to find new club. I mean, this has been striking all of the UK papers. I mean, it's been reported on almost all of the major UK papers. I mean, not the Athletic or not from any tier one source or not from any tier one journalist, but generally this is the general piece of news that is going around. I mean, I know this is just a rumor because there's another piece of news which has come out today afternoon that this is Jack Grealish clarifies and says this is all nonsense and something like that. But right from the time you saw this news, you just knew that it was just a a media kind of a hype, just to put more pressure on Jack Grealish. More than that, just to circulate more copies. That's it. Just to hype the situation around, as most of the media outlets do, apart from a few reliable ones. So when I saw this news first, I was like, well, this is absolute shite. This is just a rumor. That's it. I mean, Jack Grealish himself, he spoke after he scored the goal against Wolves. He spoke at the end of the match how Pep Guardiola had really backed him, how Pep Guardiola showed faith in him when he himself was finding it difficult to retain any confidence in himself as a person. So I mean, when you Jack was also talking about the support he has received from his teammates during this period where he was put under pressure during the last few weeks. So when a person comes out live and he speaks like that after the match, suddenly this kind of a rumor makes no sense, right? It is nonsense. But I'm not bothered about this news, but in general, in a bigger picture, I'm bothered about the sustainability of Jack Grealish at City. That should be the question. Should not be a question of whether Jack Grealish is happy at City or not. No, that will never be the case. Looking at the personality Jack is, looking at the way he handles things, looking at how much faith the teammates have in him, how much the teammates are willing to stand up for him, how much Pep Guardiola is willing to stand up for him, how much that all of the City fans are willing to stand up for him. It's no question that happiness will not be a question for Jack Grealish. For me, the question for Jack Grealish will be how long is playing on the left wing sustainable for Jack Grealish? That is actually the question. We'll have to remember that Jack Grealish was not signed to play in the left wing position. Jack Grealish was signed because in that 2018-19 season, right, when we were going all out for Harry Kane. I mean, Jack Grealish was signed because Bernardo Silva was rumored to leave that season, and then Bernardo Silva never left, and Jack Grealish, he went on to play uh, on the left wing and stuff. I mean, he had to play on the left wing for City since Bernardo never left. So Grealish was signed actually to replace Bernardo Silva. So which means that Grealish has been signed for the central midfield position. It's not been signed for the wing position. But the big question here is, the bigger picture is, how will Jack Grealish play in that central midfield position? And the answer is, I'm finding it really difficult to come to a solution, come to a conclusion on this, because okay, leave Rodri, that position of DM, you have Rodri and Calvin Phillips, potentially John Stones now beginning to play there with Phillips injured, so that position is out of question. So you can imagine that he has two attacking midfield positions which are currently occupied by De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, right? So how will Jack Grealish crack open there into those positions? Because you potentially have a Gundogan who is competing for that spot as well. So Jack Grealish is for the central midfield position. Jack Grealish is almost the fourth choice midfielder out there. So how do you compete with that? I know in 2016 when Pep came, City were playing a traditional, 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 or whatever it is, and Pep saw that both De Bruyne and Bernard and David Silva could not play in the same team in such a system, and then he changed it to a 4-3-3 with two attacking midfielders, and we went on to achieve 100 points that season. But the issue here is even more tough. The toughness of this issue of fitting in players now for Pep Guardiola is you are having to see Bernardo Silva play on the right wing because he wants to play Bernardo Silva and Gundogan both. So how will he fit in Jack Grealish here? And you can actually visualize those few minutes in the second half of De Bruyne was taken off. Grealish played in that midfield role, and Grealish was superb. He was getting us out of the press. He was running with the ball well and stuff. And you can even have insights on the preseason as well. Whenever Grealish was given that opportunity in the center of the midfield, he looked very, very good. So the question is not about Jack Grealish being happy and asking his agent to find a new club and all. The question is the sustainability of Jack Grealish in that left midfield role. That is the big question here. Sorry, in that left wing role. Now you could argue that Pep is like in the Wolves match. Pep wants to play Jack Grealish more as an inside winger, inverted winger, which means he cuts in and stuff like that with Cancelo providing the width. But then that takes a lot out of Cancelo's game, right? Cancelo staying wide does not impact the game as much as Cancelo cutting inside. So there are a lot of questions to answer, a lot of doubts for Pep to ponder about. And as the media is making it look like Jack Grealish is the problem, no, he's not the problem. The problem is Pep Guardiola fitting in Jack Grealish in the right place in the system. That is the problem, and surprisingly, the ball is in Pep's court now. People might think the ball is in Jack Grealish's court. No, the ball is in Pep's court right now. And Pep is still devising a system. We might be second in the league. We might be just 1 point behind Arsenal. But the reality of it is, Pep and City have not figured out the real system this season. Due to the arrival of Haaland, they have had to make some sweeping tactical changes, and due to this, everyone is adjusting to this system. Okay, Haaland is getting goals, De Bruyne is getting it's his assists and stuff. But still, people are understanding themselves. People are understanding the movements in the system. When I mean understanding themselves, people are understanding the positional sense in the system and all of those things. So it's still a work in progress, and that should be scary to all of the opponents. All the Arsenal fans thinking, oh, we are 1 point ahead of City, but I would not have been surprised if City were 5, 6, 7 points behind Arsenal as well. We could have easily lost that Crystal Palace match, for example. We could have easily lost that Newcastle match, for example. We could have easily lost the Aston Villa match, for example, just on the basis of that first half play. So we could easily have been at least 4, 5 points behind Arsenal, and still I would not be scared because we are building a new system. This is not the same system that is continuing from last season. So I think Pep is figuring out spots. It's not just Jack Grealish. There are few other people, but Grealish is in question here because it's a second season, 100 million pounds price tag and stuff. But people like John Stones still, will they play CDM? Where do they play? People like Ruben Diaz, for example, because Akanji is doing so well now, he has to compete with Nathan Ake, who seems to be very good. What is the spot of Ruben Diaz in this team? What is the future of Kyle Walker in this team with his ball playing ability not being enough for the inverted fullback system? So the questions are not just on Grealish. Grealish is being highlighted, but the questions are around other players as well. Not in terms of the performance, but in terms of where do they fit the system and where will you play? Julian Alvarez will be the biggest question because he has looked exceptionally good. So Pep has his hands full in this international break. I mean the approach from the Manchester United game, from the derby, will lay down a marker for what City is going to do this season. I doubt that he's going to start Julian Alvarez in the Manchester derby game because we haven't played a big six till now, right? And you often can see when Pep plays a big six, you often can see him trusting certain personnel. Like Gabriel Jesus, for example, used to play against all of the top teams until last season. He was sat on the bench for 3 4 matches. Then Liverpool away came, and Pep started Gabriel Jesus, and everyone was surprised. So who is the trusted personnel? And I think it's Julian Alvarez actually that could actually surprise a lot of people. So a lot of things for Pep to ponder on, and there is a bigger question to ask than this rumor that Jack is unhappy. A more apt title to this article should have been: is the role of left wing more sustainable for Jack? How sustainable is Jack Grealish's position as City? Something like that. Because that is the real truth you have to ask. It's not about being happy or unhappy. It's about finding the right spot in the system for you. That is what it is about, playing in a Pep Guardiola system. For example, if Zinchenko, let us just discuss about Zinchenko for a bit with regards to this. Just imagine that City had two good left backs already. What would have been the case at Zinchenko? Would he have survived at City competing for that midfield spot? Never in a million years, right? So Pep Guardiola's system is not. It's not about having the talent to play in that role. It's about fitting yourself into the right position. That is the thing. That is when you are there in the right position, you can just reap benefits of this system. Zinchenko was a midfielder who found a vacant spot in the left back position, and kudos to him for accepting that role. But he could cut inside, and Pep was then playing an inverted midfield system, and it just overloading the midfield. It just suited Zinchenko perfectly. So it's the same for Jack Grealish, and for me, I think unless Pep has something else in his mind, I think it's that central midfield role which actually suits Jack Grealish's strong running with the ball, his ability to go both sides, his ability to take draw fouls and control the tempo of the game, which we lacked, for example, against Newcastle. So do not be surprised if Pep actually plays Jack Grealish in some of the biggest games of this season. So just let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this rubbish article about Jack Grealish, and what should be the bigger question that should be asked about Jack Grealish. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I really hope that you have enjoyed the video. And do click on the like button if you have enjoyed the video, and also the bell icon in the subscribe button so that you get notifications whenever we come up with new videos. Take care, guys, and see you all.